Is the world getting more enlightened or less enlightened?
Well, probably both. But the world is really evolving to, let's say, an extinction, yeah, process. And that means an end point, which is great. It's had that before. So we are at a very cataclysmic point in the evolution of the Earth, the world, where there's now just too much. And so now the Earth starts to implode.
Too much materialism?
Well, we're just saying too much. We're not calling it anything else. It's called too much. Right? When you get to the too much, it's too much. Yeah, and that's what it is. It's really too much. And so what we see is just breaking apart, breaking open. But that doesn't mean it's too much. It means it's exactly what's needed. See? It's just enough. See? To transform the situation. So we're in the transformation part, where the surface is starting to change. Surface changes are no longer, what they used to be. See, everything is unstable, becoming more unstable. See, I think it has a lot to do with magnetism, geomagnetism, and how that's shifting. People are trying to keep up with magnetic flux, which is a very serious issue. So you have to know how to keep yourself properly magnetized in the midst of an ocean of what would be a magnetic chaos.
Is this the pole shift you're referring to?
This is related to pole shifting. There's no question about pole shifting. Yeah, we have poles inside of us that shift. And so we're part of a greater system of pole shifting that shifts. Yeah, it does shift. It's got to shift. It rotates. So it's cyclic. We're talking about the 26,000 year precession of the equinoxes. So that's part of it. Coming back to the center of the galaxy, that's like a pole, and then the opposite. 13,000 years away is another pole, and there's stresses between the poles, and you subdivide it, and you have more stress points. And you have this zodiac concept, which is just about a circle. It's not about the signs. It's about a circle. It's the mystery of the circle.
So what precipitates pole shifts within individuals?
Changes, life changes. Life changes. Life changes. So when you go from other to self, in a manner of speaking, or no other, not self, but let's say there's other and then there's no other, that's even better. Those are shifts in polarity. That's a shift in polarity. See, when you go from, let's say, intuitive to intellectual, that's a shift in polarity. Intellectual to intuitive, that's a shift in polarity. Yeah. When you go from lower consciousness, gross consciousness, and pain and suffering to higher consciousness and bliss, expansion and realization to the infinite, those are pole shifts. So there's nothing but pole shifts when you see it a certain way.
And are we reflecting the earth changes, or are they reflecting?
We are earth changes. There's no reflecting. There's no. We are the earth changing. So we are the earth which is changing. It's changes. So you are the earth changing.
And does that happen at a cultural level, where civilizations go through changes and as a group, more or less?
Of course. Depends on what your idea of your entity is. If you're a government, of course your government's going to go through changes, evolutionarily so, and then geophysically so. It's just natural for the geophysical process to affect where you are, your location, your region. Talking about Nepal and the Himalayan mountains and things shifting there, acting really, I guess you might say, typical perhaps, but yeah. The mountains are there, they're very stationary, but the earth is not. The earth is quaking, right? The earth is revolting. The earth is this revolution of consciousness. The earth is, I guess you might say, a fire being, a goddess of fire, in a sense. So we need to understand that. So, And so this whole thing is really about Rama, it's fire, see? Rama, fire. The solution, Shiva is also Ram, Shiva, Ram. The destroyer, but it's not destroyer, you don't have destruction without creation. See? So it's all creation. And creation destroys. And more creation destroys. See? Creation destroys creation in the process of recreating itself. It's life, right? Metamorphosis, see? And the way of the universe. So it's like saying, sit down, buckle up, kids, enjoy the ride, man. It's going to be the ride of a lifetime.
So when you look at something like, for example, the opposition to the Vietnam War as being, say, a cultural pole shift?
To some degree, yeah, you can see that. I mean, it doesn't take much intelligence to see how these things work out. Of course, civil rights things, pole shift. Yeah. So we see it everywhere. Okay? Pole shift, a change of base, what the basis is, see? And a change of the method based upon what the basis is. I mean, you've seen that in politics. So well, we have to change now because look, the people are up in arms. So we need to change according to what the ground is and what the field is saying. So for a person to have control, then they need to have some control over the field. If you have no control over the field, you might be in a bad position to govern the field. So it's politics, basic politics. Nothing deep about it. It's called management. Yeah, just management.
So what are the implications of increased technology? For example, we have increased tools for communication, yet communication is not necessarily improving.
What do you mean by communication?
Yeah. We have
You mean between people?
Yes.
Well, of course, that's not improving, so it's just, I guess you might say, delusion. It's really a delusion, improving anything. It's a delusion. Yeah. Everything remains the same, but they're selling more products, which is really what they want to do, is selling more products. And, materialists can't get enough products, period. I mean, that's the way their mind is set up. They say, oh yeah, this, I like it, and then we improve on that. So, but that's the way it is. And we're talking about, then we're talking about earthiness. It's earth, it's very earthy to keep producing this. Mother does that. So if there was no earth, we might not, as we know it, there might not be that much production. But the earth is bountiful. It's an infinite production because of the nature of the earth, right? And its volcanic or volcanist origins. It's a Vulcan planet, no doubt. Well, sounds good to hear it that way.
Does the material displace the spiritual? Does an obsession with materialism keep people from getting more spiritual?
No, they're related. It can be, yes, if you're not really balanced, and the material can be all that you know, and I guess you might say can conceive of. See, because then you're imprisoned in it. You think the product is what the process is about. It's not that. See. If you go deeper, if you have a cosmic sense, because now you're talking about the materialistic sense of embodiment on Earth as a victim, a consumer of product. And so that's your position, and then it can be up to a point. Then it can be a product that comes out and it just blows you out of everything, depending on what the product is, and you awaken. You can awaken at any point to what it isn't, as much as to what it is. Say, okay, I've had enough of this, this is good. I just got my last set of headsets, they're fantastic. Now I'm going to the monastery now. Settle down, cool my brain, my body, and take a few years off, and then get back into the swing of things later on if there's a place to find my way back to.
Do we invite the pole shifts we go through?
Do we invite? Well, I think they're built into us. Basically, part of our organic creation. It's systemal, shifting poles, waking up, going to sleep, consciousness shift there, sleep, wakeness. So that's built into us. So yes, one thing really works for the other. I'm not really having a conversation to isolate particular parts of it because it's really part of a system. See, an intelligence system, an awareness system that works pretty much together as a whole, so it's a holistic system. See, and waking up is part of that, there's no question about it. Not everybody wakes up in the same way at the same time. Right? And there are, let's say, things that precipitate it. Say, karmas that precipitate some awakenings, and then some awakenings is just completely like nothing. It's like waking up in the morning. No effort, nothing happens. You just open your eyes and there you are. Here you are. You open your eyes and here you are.
Can pole shifts in individuals be measured in terms of progression or regression?
You can say so. It depends. Yeah. When you're seeing a shift from adolescence to adulthood, that's a big one. From childhood to adolescence, pubescence. It's a huge shift there. You're not sure you know the same person. There's a huge shift in chemistry and in psychology. Right? And what was your child that rebels against you? It's to do you in. Right? You're the enemy all of a sudden, which is part of its progression. It's not part of the problem. It's the way we progress, different stages. That's always happening.
Are there cultural influences to pole shifts, or is it outside of that?
Really depends on what you're talking about. We have the pole shifts here, the Democratic and then the Republican pole shifts, right? From one polarity to the other polarity. Sometimes they neutralize, sometimes they're not. So we're always going back and forth. Like male is one pole, female's the other one, don't forget that, so pole shifts. Guess you forgot.
So is this, let's say, a system that we should embrace, or?
It's not a system you can embrace, it just is the way it is. And so we're accepting it as it is because it's going on. When you were talking earlier about the physical poles, the geopoles shifting, yeah, that's something that is part of the inherent nature of the universe, that kind of change. Not much you can do about it. You're here for the ride, you paid for it already, you signed the contract, I accept. When you choose the kind of seat belts and headgear you wanted, and you have it all there, perfect. All right, deal, it's done.
So as we view these earth changes, is it something we should identify within ourselves? Or
We are earth changes, so the problem with geophysical earth changes, you got to get out of the way of it. So you have to make sure you're in a region where you're not threatened by it. Everything's going to go crashing in on you. So you have to be in touch with your need to survive beyond the point. If you are in touch with that, if you are, let's say, deep enough in your consciousness where you can see your future, then you know where not to be. Right? It'll be revealed to you. It is revealed to those who need to see it, or who want to see what they need to see because they see beyond that. So, there's another paradox for you.
Is there a neutral part of our being that's impervious to these pole shifts, or deeper or beyond them?
Always. There's always a neutral. You don't have poles without the no pole. Yeah. So we are at the no pole, as well as shifting from one to the other. Sometimes slowly, gradually, over long periods of time, and sometimes at the speed of light. Because you need both hemispheres going in order to do certain things. So it's this pole and that pole. Blah, 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 blah. No doubt. This hand and that hand, everything's like separated, like dual. Complement. So, this eye, that eye, this ear, this cheek, that cheek. This lung and that lung. This testicle and that testicle. And so on, this breast and that breast.
So if we're able to live from that neutrality, does that include and utilize the poles within us?
It's already happening. See, you have to hope that your spirit is doing it. That's another nebulous, mysterious concept, that your spirit is handling it for you. See, some say, oh, you get into this kind of fabric. You say, you mean your guardian, your guide, or something. Say, yeah, whatever you want to call it. See, so part of it depends on what level of reality you're open to. If you're not open to these other realities, you can't see what there is to see. And you shouldn't judge anybody harshly for seeing what they see, because they are open to what they can see. And when you care not about those things, so, spare everybody grief for not being able to be more sensitive, and let everybody else go their way and see what they need to see. And you be happy with whatever you see, until you can see beyond that and want to see more for yourself.
So with everyone's conditions so much of their own, how do we arrive at consensus and leadership of people who may
Well,
see
that
things
occurs
differently?
by way of compromise and agreement. And that's something which is always the case. Right? And that's why people get together and see what the consensus is for themselves. See what's at stake. And then people bond on the basis of agreement and convention. They're all agreed on certain things, or sameness of opinion. So there's a polarization to a certain kind of opinion. And that's what you want to do. You want to polarize, you want to galvanize people to your opinion if you're into politics, and then you win if you get enough people to your side, to your persuasion.
How does a being learn what to compromise about and what not to compromise?
How does who?
How does a being?
Well, you have to know yourself. That's not really the question. You know what you like, you know what you don't like, you know what you want to see in life, and you know how you want to be treated. So, yeah.
So it's dependent on conditions and situations when one is
Well,
compromised.
it depends on what you recognize to be your need. For some people, it's educational need, it's a social need, it's maybe a racial need, right? Maybe it's a cultural need, like music. People need musical culture. They need experience. Depends on what the experience is that you need. That you feel you need to galvanize with other people, and then you become a tribe, right? A united tribe with a cause, a purpose, a mission. See, to secure for yourselves the group. See, in this case, it's the collective, however small or moderate in size or huge. Then you do what you have to do with that power, because then it's power. On the other hand, to the other pole, you have the individual. Are made to make all these modifications for themselves. See what they need to do to sustain themselves and survive what they can in terms of the changes around them. If they're on a mission to do that. Some people don't have any kind of mission to do, let alone any concern for the future. They don't have a concern for the future. They're just living day by day. So they don't even think that much about it. They eat, they sleep, get up, do the same thing, go to work, and it's easy as pie for them. See, it's complete. See, what's wrong with it? Nothing's wrong with it. It's regulated, self-pleasing. Works. See. But for the creative, then it's not good enough. So then you have to deal with the restlessness. And what can you create that is important for you to create and then share with other peeps, especially if they don't like it and they don't want it, which is what the creative challenge is. And that determines who and what you create for outside of yourself. And whether or not there's common, say, use of what you're creating, acceptance or need for whatever it might be. Market, if you can see it in terms of market for it, or psychic, let's say place for such, whatever it is. And I sense that there's a lot of room out here for a lot of other things than what you see in the market right now. I think there's still a lot of potential, but the earth is going through its changes now, which is putting very, very powerful restrictions on where people can be as time goes by. As the earth changes. People are going to be more afraid of going to certain areas more than others because they see what's going on there. So that's going to be I guess you might say it's the word of the times. Where is it safest to be?
Do you think earth changes will bring people together, create more harmony, or?
Not necessarily. They can. Of course, it depends on whether or not people have to bond. It depends on the situation. Really, people have already bonded together. People are already secure in society. It's completely hidden away from everyone. They've already done that. And are going to survive the changes. They've made it a point to survive. And then hopefully at some future point, maybe many generations later, come out from you know, the bowels of the earth, or whatever. They have to hide in the mountains and then see what's left, if anything, for them to clean up or recreate. That's such.
It's been said the best way to bring people together is to give them a common enemy. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't have any thoughts on that. That's common sense. Yeah, that's common sense. I'm not saying that's real common ground in a sense, but you know, but it is. That's common sense. So we're talking about fear-based, and we have a lot of that that's going on, determining what happens in the world because people are so horrific in their nature and their, say, ruthless, so disregard for life, property, liberty. It's kind of Americanistic connotation.
Does fear impact creativity?
It can create creativity, but yes, it can impact it in a negative too. You can get stuck in just playing the blues because you're unhappy, but you know, enjoy it and become the greatest blues player. But you're still limited to that. See, that's all you can play. And whether or not you know that's important to you, it's up to the individual. See? So by what you do, you're judged. See? Not so much by who likes it or who dislikes it, but by what you do. You judge yourself by what you do.
And how do we get beyond fear of earth changes?
I try to understand what earth is. It is change. So you're talking, it's not about earth change. Nobody's afraid of earth change. It's really, you're afraid of death. That's what you're talking about, right? The plug being pulled out. You don't want the plug being pulled on you. You have to have a sense of humor about that if you ever had any. You should be humorous about that. What's there to fear if you don't know?